We all know I'm a fan of books all the time, but right now we're going to talk about books to provoke your thinking in 2018. Neil, you are a huge reader. Neil Pasricha, our New York Times bestselling author, joins us again now in studio. You have your own book list every month.
Yes.
And I love it, and I follow it, and I also send it out to people who also love books. So you've brought us some that are going to get us thinking.
Yep.
Starting with the Black Swan.
The Black Swan. What is a Black Swan? The world did not know Black Swans existed for thousands of years, and then they found one. So Nassim Taleb defines a Black Swan event as an event that is disproportionately huge, totally unpredictable, and in retrospect, we seek to logically explain it.
Okay.
Like the rise of the smartphones, or 9/11, or how I met my spouse, that phrase, you know, how people justify. So this book is great because it gives you a lens to look at the world that has more chaos and randomness in it, and helps you do things about variety. Go to more parties, try different side hustles or different small businesses, because you never know what's going to take off. That's what the Black Swan is all about.
That'll get you thinking.
Yes.
Okay, what about Rework?
Rework. This is an incredible book. We are all talking right now about how business is changing. Offices are changing, corporate cultures are changing. Well, these guys, the authors of this book, Jason Fried and DHH, he's called, they put together an incredible company with people, none of whom were in the same office, around the world. And it became an incredible company. So they talk about their core principles to success. ASAP is poison, fire the workaholics, have no meetings. It's a revolutionary new way to run a business. So if you're thinking about starting your own, this is your map for how to do it.
Interesting. Global? It's global
Totally.
there?
Totally. It's exactly like new culture in companies.
I love it. Okay, the Daily Stoic.
The Daily Stoic. Stoic philosophy is on the rise again, 2,000 years after Marcus Aurelius and Seneca and Epictetus. Those names sound daunting for people like me. I'm not going to read these gigantic, you know, huge textbooks.
Yeah.
So why not read the Daily Stoic, where Ryan Holiday goes through all those big tomes for you, pulls out the key highlights, and explains them all. The Daily Stoic, there's one per day of the year.
Yeah.
It's a great secular way to start or finish your day if you want some guidance or advice.
Okay.
Okay, so it's kind of like, it's really kind of like a secular Bible, using advice that was sort of the last emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius, wrote to himself. Ways of living and the art of relationships and living a full life.
Interesting.
Yes.
Now, are all the books that you brought here today nonfiction?
I'm glad you asked, because the next one is... Yeah, I'm glad you asked. They don't all have to be nonfiction kind of businessy books. Yeah. This one's called The Moth, All These Wonders. Have you heard of the Moth podcast?
No.
Okay, the Moth podcast is where people, ordinary people, go to live events together and share the most interesting story of their life to a room full of strangers. Okay, so they collected the best ones in this book. It's an African child soldier moving to New York, being invited to a paintball competition for someone's birthday party. It is an Indian guy on his prom date's porch being told by her parents that they don't want him in their photos. It's heartbreaking, mesmerizing stories about life.
How did that even start? How did that even happen?
It's like the TED for people. It's like TED Talks, except it's just like stories from people's lives.
Somebody loves you, Mr. Hatch.
This is a kid's book. Loneliness is an epidemic. The former U.S. Surgeon General just declared loneliness to be worse for you than smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Yeah, I find that really scary. We're going to cover that in some way, shape, or form on Cityline at some point.
The UK just declared a new ministry of loneliness. It's becoming a big deal.
Really?
This book addresses it with children. Somebody loves you, Mr. Hatch. An old man who gets a surprise package by accident and becomes a great person in the community, gets devastated when they find out it was delivered to him by mistake. But because everyone rallied around him, they rally around him and support him at the end of the book. So if you want a great book to teach your kid about the power of friendships and community, Somebody Loves You, Mr. Hatch is the one.
That's good. Grown-ups should read that too.
Lastly,
a lot of lonely grown-ups out there. Okay, Gretchen Rubin.
My friend and yours, Gretchen Rubin, author of The Happiness Project, has a brand new book called The Four Tendencies. It's the only one that's really new of all the books I've got on the list. She talks about self-awareness. She's talking about, hey, are you an upholder? Are you a rebel? Are you a questioner? How well do you deal with obligations or requests from other people? I love this book because it turns out I'm a questioner, and my wife and I were able to have my wife and I were able to have an honest conversation about some of the things we do in our relationship that we can do better now that we know our personality types.
Oh, so, that's very good.
I know Gretchen will expand on that more, but that's a great book.
She's going to be coming here.
She's
Gretchen
coming?
Rubin is joining us on Cityline in a couple of weeks. I'm so looking forward to talk to her. She is awesome all the time.
Yes.
Neil, thank you so much. Keep those book lists coming, and we'll keep doing that on Cityline.